es la voz de LA. It's like Cuna Galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell the haters shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goles during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana Emergency Edition. This podcast, of course, is always made with love for you guys, this LA Galaxy community and international soccer community, but today it seems like these Galaxy fans need that love just a little bit more than most because the LA Galaxy had been building steam towards the resurgent 2026 when Galaxy fans and the team got just about the worst news they could have gotten. Star midfielder Riqui Puig suffered a setback from the ACL injury he suffered during the 2024 playoff run and has now had a second surgery on the same knee that will rule him out for the entirety of 2026 as well. It's a devastating blow that forces a sliding doors moment for the Galaxy because now they will be forced into a tough decision. Do the Galaxy adapt to life without Riqui and go all in on 2026 or build a transition side that will be competitive but safeguards Puig's return? The decision will define the Galaxy's direction for the foreseeable future. We'll be joined by Eddie and Edgar Nags from News Across the Galaxy, as well as Peyton Bedouin, a.k.a. GalaxyBuzz, who will be here to break down all the Riqui news and give us their thoughts. Plus, have the Galaxy already found a replacement in a current Premier League star? All that and more coming up on tonight's episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. But before we go any further, let me introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can always find my written work at the Sporting Tribune, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And since I'm here, of course, you know, the Cosmopolitan one is here alongside me, all the way live and direct from the other land, El Papa da Natita, El Yerno Guapo, Anadita Kirana. Morning to you, sir. Top of the morning.
Top of the morning. Early, what was it? Early bird eats the worm, right? So there you go.
How those worms tasting?
Well, I could be coming back on under better circumstances, Rob. Let's just put it that way, and we'll get into it. We'll get into all our feels in the next hour here.
Well, let's get into it now. Last time we were here under very different circumstances. We had an emergency pod to talk about that Justin Hack signing, and everything was trending towards beauty here in Galaxylandia. And all of a sudden, we're here to talk about this Riqui Puig news. Of course, this news broke a couple of days ago, so you've had time to process it. But give me your one-word reaction to this Riqui news. And of course, chat, do the same. I mean, I know you're there, and I know you're just dying to get this shit off your chest. I mean, I know that I'll let you know what I was doing, how I was feeling here in a second. But go ahead and let us know your just how you felt when you got that Riqui news. What was your one-word reaction? What were you doing? That's like I said, it's not hyperbole. I honestly do think this is a pivotal moment in Galaxy history, or could be shaping up to be. So Ananda, one word reaction when you got this Riqui news.
Yeah, simply put, devastating. I think I was probably having a couple of glasses of wine with my suegro or somewhere. So I was a little bit in my feels when I saw it. Because,
you already in your feels then?
Yeah, already in my feels, drinking my sorrows away. But No, man. I mean, it's like, well, we'll get into all the nitty gritty, but it's like, what the hell happened? Like, he was just posting IG stories and looking chipper last couple weeks, and all of a sudden, just bombshell, right? Like everything was trending towards him being back for a full recovery in 2026. So just devastating. I mean, I think I wrote it on, I tweeted about it. I mean, just gutted for him, gutted for the team, everyone involved trying to make this year a bounce back year, and just gutted for the fans. Like I saw the fan reaction. I saw your guys' reaction on NAG the other day. I saw, reactions from around the league. It's devastating. I can't put it any other way.
It sure is devastating. It's again, it just changes the conversation and the trajectory. The window had been amazing for the Galaxy so far. Just that striker that was missing. Everybody kept saying, "Man, this team is going to cook when they get a striker and they have Riqui behind them." And now that is not to be. But yeah, we'll get into everything here. My one word reaction is honestly, like Ananda, you actually were the one to break the news to me, because as you know, I was in Mexico, and I took a day where I was like, oh, I'm gonna disconnect today, not really look at my phone, watch movies with my parents and with wifey and stuff like that, and kind of I didn't really get into any Twitter or like news or anything like that, and then I see this message hours later from Nana, did you hear about Riqui? And I didn't even, without even knowing what happened, I didn't go look for anything else or anything like that. I just read your message, did you hear about Riqui? And I said, I love it. And you just like, man, I already knew it was going to be all bad, and I just had this feeling. And then I checked, and yeah, man, it was a real vacation ruiner for sure. I know, like, I'm kind of like, oh, it ruined my vacation. I'm not making light of it at all, because this is a man's life and a man's career. But it like Ananda said, it was devastating enough to kind of have me thinking about it, the entire time I was away. And I know it's heavily on the mind of all Galaxy fans here. But yeah, like I said, we'll get into it. We have a bunch of really awesome guests with us tonight. We have a couple of the NAG boys here, aka Thanga Boys Assemble, and then we have my purveyor of Flintstones vitamins, GalaxyBuzz. So we're gonna be getting to them in just 1 second. But we want to say thank you once again for everybody that is here in chat. Go ahead and let us know where you are listening to us from, what part of LA or beyond you are listening to us from. If this is your first time with us, we want to say thank you. If you guys are here in chat popping off like you normally do, you're one of the normal cuneros, we want to say thank you again. You are the reason we do what we do. And if you're here, we just want to say we just have a humble plea. Go ahead and subscribe to the pod, or if you already have, just go ahead and tell one person about this podcast that you think would enjoy it, and wants to get in on the know on Galaxylandia, Galaxy News, and international soccer news and beyond. We do have a super chat here. I was going to let you guys know that you guys can go ahead and drop a super chat in there. If you have anything burning to get off your chest, if you have anything to say, you guys can drop a super chat. Like our brother G Cam, we want to say thank you. He has hit up the first one of the day. He says, I will donate my ligaments to Riqui. Oh, that's so kind. Merry Christmas. But let's remain calm and stay positive. These are the unavoidable lows that come with fandom. Feliz año. Yeah, staying calm is the optimal way you gotta operate right now. I mean, you can't panic. What you gotta do is you gotta be decisive about whatever you do and execute cleanly. But again, we'll get into all that. Hello to all y'all that are also watching this humble little pod on X and Instagram. And at some point, go ahead and hit the subscribe on YouTube. We'll live it forever. Ananda will take a shot with you, promise. And speaking of Ananda, how about you bring us on home with that housekeeping?
Yeah, you guys can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Cuna Galaxiana, and you guys can find us on all of your socials at
Cuna Galaxiana. The morning voice, baby.
I got morning voice, and like I'm trying to like scarf this down. Well, actually, it's almost down now. This is the shot. This is the shot that I will take, Papa. This one right here.
Okay, right on. That'll work for now.
Exactly. Shot of espresso in the morning. Double espresso, mind you. What else? I think you covered it mostly, Papa. So let's just get into this session. But before that, of course, como siempre, antes de olvidarme,
Do it.
buenos días, tardes, o noches, y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de, in this case, it is Sad 4 Hours. Season hasn't even started yet. But in this case, let's just lament for this 1 hour.
That's why I said my one word was I love it, dude. It was just like, oh man, like really. But yes, we are here to all get through it together. But before we do, really quick, we have a couple of things to let you know. We were on Ghost TV earlier this week with our friend Jose Teles, aka Bromigo, talking about the Justin Hack deal and just the implications and what that means for the Galaxy going forward. Of course, this was recorded pre-Riqui, so take some things are now without context, but check out that video. That one's fun. Congratulations to former Galaxy defender Julian Araujo, who joined Celtic earlier this week on loan from Bournemouth for the rest of the season, only to see his coach, also an MLS product, aka ex-Columbus Crew coach Wilfred Nancy, get the sack just a couple of days later, who, to be fair to him, joined a tough situation there and didn't get the results that he or really expected from himself, that the board wanted, and really just a hard situation for Wilfred Nancy altogether. But really that leaves Julian Araujo without a coach. But congratulations to him for making that jump over to Celtic. We kind of spoke about this one yesterday on Nag Ananda about whether this is a good move for him or not. Real quick, what are your thoughts on this one?
For Julian, right?
Yes, for Julian.
I mean, he needs playing time, so he wasn't getting any at Bournemouth. Iraola wasn't giving him a look. And yeah, I mean, look, whatever he needs to do to develop his career, that's probably the best move. It is a season-long loan, or for the half the season, so he probably needs it right at this point for his development. So
yeah, for anybody that's in chat, if you do need an in-depth look at that Scottish league, Edgar Nags is a good one to hit up and talk about the Scottish league. I didn't know that he went that deep on it. But yeah, hit him up if you want any more information about those teams and like what that move might mean for Celtic going forward. Reminder, the CVI is happening and the Galaxy is participating. They will be playing the Chicago Fire on February 8th in their first match, and then on February 11th they will be playing St. Louis City. They will just be playing in two fixtures here in this tournament, as opposed to last year's where they featured in four. But of course, their participation in the CONCACAF Champions Cup necessitates them to only play one weekend, because on Thursday, February 19th, they will be kicking off their Champions Cup campaign in Panama contra Sporting San Miguelito at 5 p.m. I'm gonna see if one of our guests, Peyton, will charter a private jet to take us all to Panama and catch the Galaxy there in Panama, face Sporting San Miguelito. The return leg at the Digs happens on Wednesday, February 25th at 8 p.m. And I've said this a bunch of times, and I cannot emphasize this enough, and this becomes even more important in light of the Riqui news. The Galaxy faces a brutal opening to the season, 4 games in 9 days. A lot of stuff is happening here. And a lot of stuff is happening here as in this podcast, because now we are getting ready to bring on our special guests of the evening. We are going to bring on first one of our good friends. He sometimes gets things for us behind the 7-Eleven there on Avalon. His name is LAGalaxyBuzz, aka Peyton Bedouin. Welcome back to the show.
What's up, guys? It's been a while.
It has been, man. I would say we're welcoming you back under better circumstances, but it is what it is. We're happy to see you in the new year.
Yeah, happy New Year, everyone. Happy holidays. I hope you guys had a good break. We're about to get right back in the full swing of things with the Galaxy starting preseason, probably in a week and a half here. So yeah, thank you for having me on once again.
No doubt, man. And yeah, like you said, we're getting right back into the swing of things to this telenovela that is the Galaxy. Well, thank you for being here. We're gonna go ahead and bring on some of the Nag boys now. First and foremost, I've already name dropped him here today. If you want to know more about the Scottish League, but now we bring on the homie Edgar Nags. Welcome back to the show, Papa.
The mute button was on, but I moved it over real quick. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always an honor to be on here with all the Cuneros. First time I get to meet Peyton. Hi, Peyton.
Hi, nice to meet you, man.
Peyton is special.
Bringing people together. I love it.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and say hi to everybody. Happy New Year. Yeah, man, we were talking about Wilfred Nancy yesterday, and I told you I would not be surprised if he wouldn't last that long. And damn, they dropped the axe on him. Like within, I think they're probably watching us last night, and they're like, "That's it." They convinced us.
Yeah, I was like, "Damn, they got Ruben and Wilfred in the same day." No.
Damn.
Yeah, no. Just now, managers are dropping like flies. But we are fortunate enough to bring your fellow Nag boy, aka one of our fellow Thanga boys, back to the show. Please welcome back Eddie Nags. What up?
What up, everyone? I made it on my favorite podcast again. This is great.
Checks are going in the mail tomorrow, guys.
No competition. Yo soy más cunero que todos. All right.
Hey, I'm digging that T-shirt, by the way, too.
Thank you. It's inspired by your picture you sent me yesterday.
Yeah. Ananda, did you see that mock-up that Nag did, where I was basically on the body of Ryu looking all muscly and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was a good promo. Good promo.
Yeah. One day I'm gonna rock that bod. Watch.
I thought you already did.
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm just a little bit a hair off of that, just a touch. You're
gonna have to cut some muscle to rock that body.
Exactly. I'm gonna have to fill out a little bit. But guys, we brought you all here, essentially because the worst of the worst has happened. The utter miseries. I mean, 2025 was bad, and the great hope going into 2026 was the Galaxy were going to retool this lineup, and Riqui Puig was going to come back and be the maestro that was going to lead this lineup back to trophies, hopefully. And that didn't happen. So that's why we're all here tonight. And so again, thank you for being here. But really quickly, before we get into the whole Riqui thing, I wanted to kind of touch on something that I saw in the news earlier, and I know that you guys touched on it as well, about Casemiro. And now that the Riqui news has dropped, you're going to see stuff like that everywhere, right? The Galaxy obviously have a need, and you're going to see a ton of different players linked with the Galaxy now. But if you guys haven't heard, Casemiro has been linked with the Galaxy. Peyton, you guys have talked about this on GalaxyBuzz. What do you know?
Yeah, I don't think there's much to this. If I'm being honest. I think it doesn't make sense from the point that we have two number 6s in Lucas Sanabria and Edwin Surya in the midfield already. His salary demands designated player wages, and I don't think that's the position, especially with Riqui going down. We need a 10. So I don't think it makes much sense. You always see this every offseason with the Galaxy, though, right? All these big names rumored and linked. I think this is just more of the same. Maybe it's a play by his agent to get a Saudi deal or something. It is interesting. I know somebody mentioned it in the chat with Ruben Amorim being sacked. Crazy decision by Manchester United, in my opinion, as a Liverpool fan. But maybe it's a byproduct of that. Maybe United are, pulling the plug on some of these older guys, and the Galaxy might have a chance to get them for cheap. But I'm going to be honest, I just really see this out of the realm of possibility for the Galaxy. I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think it's the move that they should be looking at right now. I think the number 10 has to be the priority. Not a number 6, even somebody with the, world-class ability of Casemiro, who's still producing in the Premier League at his age. It's just not what you need right now.
Yeah, Eddie Edgar, we talked about this yesterday on News Across the Galaxy, and we had kind of varying opinions, not far off, but like little nuances here and there. But Eddie, you just heard Payne say that 10 position is a priority. Obviously, Casemiro is a center defensive midfielder. Is that the only reason? Positionally, he just doesn't fit, or are there other reasons, other red flags that brings up?
Obviously the tag, right? The DP tag, you don't really want to waste it on somebody and something you don't need. The only way I can see it making sense is what if for something we don't know, right? Because it was pretty quick. I really doubt that Riqui went down and they went straight after Casemiro, right? So what if there's like a surreal move or something? Like, I'm a big fan of Surreal, and I could see him playing in a bigger league if he wants to move. And if it's like a TAM type price, then why not? That's the only way it makes sense to me. But outside of that, I'm with Peyton. It's just the move just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, it's, again, Peyton said it. Center defensive midfielder doesn't help the Galaxy in what they actually need, which is basically getting Riqui back. But since that's not going to happen, let's talk about what we know so far, guys. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know by now that LAGalaxy midfielder Riqui Puig suffered a setback in his ACL recovery while in Barcelona. After consulting with his physicians, club medical staff, it was determined that he would have surgery on Saturday, which he already did. He had surgery on his left knee. It was successful, and it was performed by Dr. Ramon Cugat in Barcelona, Spain. Ananda, you should have gone to hit up Dr. Ramon Cugat, like boots on the ground right now, man, since you out there. But this surgery did go down in Barcelona, Spain. Of course, the Galaxy have already put out a statement that surgery was successful. Riqui is expected to make a full recovery and be ready to join the team at the start of the 2027 season. So now that setback forces, and I've said it kind of already, forces Galaxy to confront questions, all kinds of questions, really, about the way they're going to construct their roster flexibility, who takes over the leadership of this team, what their identity is, what they hope it to be, and whether their rebuild timeline still makes sense in light of what's happened with Riqui. But before we go any further, guys, you heard us, Ananda and I, go ahead and give you our one-word reactions to this Riqui news. Edgar, what is your one-word reaction, and where were you when you heard this Riqui news?
It's heartbreaking. I mean, I can think of a million other words to say, but the one word I think that everybody feels, the one feeling that everybody can attest to, is just it's heartbreaking because last year it just seemed like this ongoing nightmare that became like a joke. At some point, we were probably all laughing at how bad the team was playing, but the reason we had that sense of humor is because that Riqui is going to be back sooner or later. Hopefully sooner than later, right? Yeah, that's what we were thinking. So we're like, this is only temporary. Pain is temporary, right? But then you get the news and you're like, wow, this really sucks, right? And I was actually getting up like really early in the morning. I was getting up, and my buddy Bob Ventimiglia, who covers Red Bull New York, he's the one who messaged me and said, "Hey, did you hear the news about Riqui?" And I'm like, as soon as he said that, he didn't have to say anything else. I was like, no way. And I did a quick search and I saw it and I was just like, "A la gran pu." Thanks for telling me that, man.
Ruined your morning.
Yeah, I was. So
my bad.
That was horrible. No, no, I was just saying it was just heartbreaking. And then you see that video that they put out right on Insta, and
Brutal.
you're like, yeah, it's kind of like rubbing the salt in the wound there. I mean, I know we feel your pain, Ricky, but having to go through this all over again, it's just, it's the one thing that also sticks to me that makes me laugh, because one thing that we as human beings have, especially here in North America, is like we always laugh, in the face of tragedy, right? To have humor help, help us deal with the shock of situations. So, one of the things that always makes me chuckle is I think about Galaxy winning that sixth cup, and then it's that meme of Thanos, where he's like, we don't. Did you do it? Like, did you do the thing? Like, yeah, what did it cost? It cost everything.
Everything. And honestly, like, it could wind up. And people are gonna be like, this was too dramatic, but no, like, if you connect the dots, like, this literally is the sliding doors moment for the Galaxy. Like, what they decide to do about this freaking situation could define 2026, 2027, and beyond. Anyway, but Peyton, your one-word reaction to the Riqui news?
Gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I was eating breakfast with my dad, and get the notification from Tom Bogert pops up, and I'm like, just unbelievable. Everything, you never expected this to happen again to him. It almost was in the, like, far out of your mind that this was even in the realm of possibilities, which is crazy because statistics would prove that this is a thing that can happen. Is that it's necessary for another surgery after your initial one. However, in the fashion this happened, I mean, look, we had a whole Riqui Road to Recovery series going on. I was watching every episode. He posted like this hard caption on Instagram, like, 2025 tried to tear me down. 2026, I'm not playing. I never left. Like, and it's like, okay, like, he's ready to go. He's ready to play. Like, this is happening. He's actually going to return to the field. The whole process, everybody thought that there was a chance he could return in 2025. Didn't end up happening. Obviously, put caution to the wind when we're as bad as we were last year. That's fine. It's okay to make that decision. I feel bad for him on a personal level. I mean, what is the outlook of his career from now on? I mean, he was going to Europe after the 2024 season. Before that ACL injury, he was going back to Europe to fulfill his dreams and really just make a statement of himself that, hey, I'm back. Like, I dominated MLS. I won an MLS Cup, and I'm back in Europe now. And I feel like at best, and look, I'm not going to doubt Riqui to come back better, but it's hard to imagine when you're missing 2 years worth of football to come back better. I just feel bad for him on a personal level. I mean, there was a lot of people being like, oh, there was rival fans, doing what they do best and being toxic about this. And it's just like, look, you never want to see something like this on a personal level for a player. It's just absolutely terrible. His mental has got to be, if you saw how he reacted at his initial ACL surgery, what he talked about. I remember watching the Riqui Road to Recovery series, and he was talking about the fact that, like, he can't even watch the video of him getting injured. He's like, it's in my head every night before I go to bed. This is some messed up stuff. This is like nightmare fuel. I'm sure he had nightmares about this happening to him again. You can't imagine a worse scenario for the Galaxy. And really, it's one of those times where it's like, before we start talking about who we're going to replace him with, which we're going to get there, you really got to take a step back and just feel for the player. Just feel for what he's going through. And put yourself in his shoes for a second. And yeah, my heart goes out to Riqui, just so gutted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, again, he's a man, and this is, yes, his livelihood, and he's fortunate to play one of the most beautiful sports on earth and get paid very handsomely to do so. But he's still a person, and like Peyton mentioned, the psychological battle that he must be going through right now is intense. Eddie, what were you doing? What was your one-word reaction when you got the Riqui news?
Well, first off, Edgar, pain is temporary unless you're a Meeseeks. So just so you know. And I had to use the internet for this. Gallows. That's the word I'm going with because everything looked so great. And it was just like, of course this happens, right? All the pieces falling in. It's like, oh, with Riqui back, that's all we talked about. Oh, now we got the defense. Ricky's going to come back. He's going to connect. Like, we even had a discussion with Nacimiento. This could be something good, right? Something special could happen here. But it's like, yeah, it would go that way. I was actually sitting here. I just looked at it and I kind of just like I saw it in a group chat I was in. I kind of chuckled and I was like, I think I was just numb. I was like, all right. It's like this. Of course, this happens, right? Because I think also as a Galaxy fan, how many DPs have we gone through with serious injuries now? Right. So,
yeah, I mean, it's you would expect something like this to happen to the Galaxy. Everything seemed so rosy, and then it wasn't. Even in its 2024 MLS Cup winning season, the Riqui injury kind of tainted that. And now, when they're on the upturn, this Riqui news kind of hits it hard. But gents, we've talked about Riqui and what it means to him personally, you know, as a person, and how hard it must be, or how our hearts go out to him. But also, you know, there's the sporting side of the soul. I don't really know if we will talk about players that could replace him specifically, because there's a lot of things to consider before that. I talked about it with the Nag boys last night, in that this is a pivotal moment for the Galaxy, because they must now choose whether they are going to build for a life without Riqui, in essence starting to move past him, because this is a second ACL injury and the risk ratio is immense on this one, or they, you know, honor that loyalty that Riqui had to them to play the rest of that match, you know, if you know, they wait for him basically. So now they face one of the hardest decisions that Will Kuntz has probably had to face. It's going to mean that he needs to define the direction of this team, and then not only define which way the team is going to go, but then kind of enforce that alignment across the rest of the organization. It has a lot of implications for Greg Vanney, the players, Will Kuntz, but in essence, the way I painted it to the Nag boys yesterday is that there's one central question that you have to answer before you even decide who you replace Riqui with, and that's: are you planning for a life without Riqui? Are you quietly moving past him, or are you signing that bridge gap player that is going to get you transitionally to a place where Ricky's ready to come back? You know, so I think that's the number one central question that must be answered first. I don't know what you guys feel like, but I don't know, Eddie. We spoke about this yesterday. You kind of saw me talk about this already. I feel even more strongly about this now. I mean, what is your view on this?
Yeah, you know what? Now that I slept on it and we talked about it, right? I think you kind of have to prepare for a life without Riqui, because at the end of the day, you're not getting Riqui back. You're not getting the same guy, right? He's going through the same injury twice, 2 years without playing, 2 years older. You're not getting that same guy. He's not going to be probably as explosive, as, you know, agile as he was. So to me, that it's starting to feel like a no-brainer. It's like, even if he does come back, you're not going to get the same player. So now that I slept on it, the more I think about it, is like, yeah, it's in a way, it's time to move on. I don't know how far you want to go into it, but I think since it's his contract year, you have to start thinking about his contract, right? How much does he love this club and how much does he want to pay? Does he just want to go back to Europe and take a cut, or is he willing to take a cut and stay here? Right. So that's something to consider because he's human. And after not playing for 2 years, I don't think he's going to come back and light the league on fire. Right. So I think to like give him an extension, another DP contract is going to be really tough. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm thinking that's it's not a band-aid, it's not a bridge no more. It's finding what's going to help us going forward.
Do either of you, Peyton, Edgar, Ananda, do either of you guys disagree? Would you guys go with the transitional kind of bridge player / roster that will kind of get you to a place where Riqui will be ready to go? Any takers on that
tough,
one?
man? Yeah, I can speak on it because one of my favorite sports teams went through something similar when I was younger. I'm a Niners fan, and I remember growing up watching Joe Montana, and it's Joe Montana, right? The
Did you say Joe
legendary
Montana?
Yeah, right, Joe Montana. Yeah, no, the legendary, the one that can never be duplicated, Joe Montana, Niners legend, NFL legend. So I grew up watching him, and he was amazing until he took a horrible hit and in a playoff game against the New York Giants, and he necessitated surgery. And then when he was supposed to come back, it turned out that he needed more time. And so at this point, the Niners were like, what are we going to do, right? We have this young guy who's unproven, who could step up and take over. And so they put him in charge, and his name is Steve Young. He was supposed to keep things warm for Joe Montana until Montana was ready to play. Well, we're talking about Steve Young, another Niners legend, another NFL legend, who at that point was like, I'm going to take this and make the best of it. And he went on to become a legend on his own right. And so when Joe Montana came back and he's like, okay, guys, I'm ready to go, which was 2 years later, right? The Niners were like, we're worried you might get hurt again. And, your age. I mean, obviously he was older, but the Niners were like, you know what? We found this amazing player here while you were gone. We built the team around him now, so we're gonna have to let you go. And Niner fans were divided on this. I remember, and so he ended up going to Kansas City, where he did okay, because he was still a good player, but he was never the same after that. A lot of athletes, it's like we said, it's not just getting back physically, it's also that mental thing, right? It's just always in the back of your mind where you're afraid, especially of an injury that's been so catastrophic. In the back of your mind is like, what if I take a bad step? What if somebody tackles me, really hard? What if I'm playing on turf and I just don't turn, the way I'm supposed to? All these things are running through your mind, but you're supposed to not be worrying about that. You're just supposed to be playing the game, but that will never go away now. It's always going to be haunting you in the back of your mind. And you can be as mentally tough as possible, but it's still going to be there. It's always going to hound you like a shadow. And that's something that I think Ricky's going to be dealing with. And I'm sure Vanny and his teammate, his coaching staff, they know about this. So maybe it is time to start looking at what other options you have, because as much as we love Riqui, when he comes back, it's going to be difficult for him to adjust in more ways than one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Rob. Oh, I think your mic is off, by the way. But I was gonna say, Rob, like, and guys, like, in a salary cap league as well, the more I think about it, like, you think about like other leagues in the world. Okay, Rodri goes down. All right, we'll sign, Mateus Nunes or Nico Gonzalez or whoever, right? Tijani Reinders, whoever. Well, like, but the fact that we are operating in a salary cap structure, in a DP structure, where this is such a valuable spot in the roster. I mean, I think more and more now it leans me to sway one way, which is, yeah, we've got to plan for life after Riqui now, and let's not stall, because again, DP utilization, usually when the Galaxy have high DP utilization, we are a good team. When the DP utilization is low, Chicharito out for the year, the Dos Santos brothers, etc., our record is typically not good. So I think when you operate in those types of environments, I think it's so important to have that DP spot filled and filled in the right way. So yeah, I agree with all of you guys. I didn't lean towards that way, by the way, when I first thought it, because I think maybe I was thinking more with my heart, but as I started thinking about it with my mind, it just seemed to make more sense. Do you agree with that, Peyton?
Yeah. Initially, I was like, look, gosh, this is why I can never be a general manager, is because I feel for the player too much, or it's like, you know what? We're going to start on that statue right now. You know, you literally sacrificed everything for the LA Galaxy. And I mean, look, I've seen this in the chat a lot, and I know this is kind of going a little backward here. What happened? And why are the Galaxy not saying what happened is something that is a little interesting to me now, because initially, you know, Riqui Puig, you know, on his Instagram post made it sound like, you know, he just went in for like a routine checkup and they were like, oh, you know, the surgery didn't work. I don't trust the Galaxy now saying that this was a successful surgery, because what's a successful surgery then? You know, like, how are we going to find out this long after, this far into rehabilitation, that the surgery didn't work? I mean, there's certainly stuff in a position like the number 10 role, especially with the way Riqui plays, with how agile he is. You know, I think Edgar talked about it a bit. You know, the way that he turns, it's elite. It's what makes him the player that he is. So I'm sure there were, you know, growing pains getting back into that. But what happened? And I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. Maybe we'll never know the real story. Maybe there's nothing to it. But the fact that the Galaxy haven't come out and said what exactly happened, I mean, I'm not going to conspiracy theory anything, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird to me. And then, you know, I thought it's good that you mentioned the fact that this is a salary cap league as well, because look, whether people want to admit it or not, Riqui Puig is going to be on this roster in 2027. It's not in our control.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not in our control. We can't move past him. We can't cut our losses. We can't buy out that contract, because that $6 million, you're going to have to go to, you know, Uncle Phil. You're going to have to go to Uncle Phil and be like, hey, we just need to get out of this contract. But I do agree that you have to start moving past Riqui in a way where I think you get somebody. And look, I know we talked about somebody who could bridge the gap. I mean, you know, looking specifically, maybe there's a few players who could do that for you. You know, I think you teased at it a little bit. Harvey Elliott for Liverpool, I think very much wants more playing time, but Liverpool don't really want him in the squad right now. And there's a barrier with how the loan rules work in Europe, where he can't go back on loan now that Aston Villa terminated that loan. He can't go back to Europe on loan, and Liverpool don't want him. So maybe MLS, but then he turned down Charlotte. But is that just because it's Charlotte? You know, the Galaxy, I'm sorry to any Charlotte fans, but the Galaxy are so much more, you know, of a attractive destination than Charlotte. And you saw it with Marco Reus. I think you move in a way where you sign a designated player, and if you want that to be a quality player, the odds are you're going to have to sign that guy. I was listening to Corner of the Galaxy earlier before this. It's going to have to be on a shout out Corner of the Galaxy. It's going to have to be on a multi-year deal. So yeah, you're going to have to look past Riqui. You're going to have to sign a playmaker on a multi-year deal, and then deal with the fact that you have 4 designated players next year. But Peck's a guy who wants to go back to Europe sooner than later. He's had interest every single window from either Brazil or Europe. Look, he's going to get an offer, and especially if you could get a guy on a multi-year deal who's a quality player, it elevates the level of the whole team. The entire Greg Vanney system is built on an elite number 10. You saw it with Javinko. You saw it with Alejandro Pasuelo. You see it now with Riqui Puig. They're going to need another elite number 10 for this to work and to avoid 2025 again. It's going to have to happen. And I think that means signing a guy to a multi-year contract, but a guy that's versatile. So when Riqui is back, you move that player to the wing in place of Gabriel Peck. So you could operate in a way of, you know, and this is a lot of speculation and ifs, ands, buts, but you could have Riqui fit into that system because he's going to have to be back on this team next year. Beyond that, maybe not, but you know, he probably is going to have to take a prove it contract. What's his value looking like? Probably none.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you just, I mean, all of you guys hit several different things on the head. I mean, there's so many moving parts to this that include not just Riqui, but Will Kuntz and his decision making, what this means for Greg Vanney and his coaching staff, like how much leash they're going to get. I mean, if they do decide to bring in somebody to replace Riqui and that ends up being a multi-year contract, are they going to be forced to then make that fourth DP decision later? I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, guys. So, I mean, one of the things that we can all agree on, though, is that, and I think that we've all touched on it in a certain way, is that the Galaxy need to start planning for life after. And so, while Edgar, you said it, I mean, we all love Riqui. I mean, he just the bravery that he showed in playing through that injury basically brought the Galaxy the 6th cup. I mean, he's always going to be remembered for sure, but now soccer is such that it moves on. It's not what have you done for me today, or what have you done for me? It's what have you done for me lately? And people are going to be quick to forget that Puig is the guy that basically brought that 6th cup, because 2024 to 2027 is a long time, and Galaxy fans are going to expect results not in 2027 but today. And one of the things that we actually didn't talk about on NAG yesterday, guys, is that by the time Riqui Puig comes back, it's going to be an entirely different world in MLS. The transfer window will have already lined up with the rest of the world, making the transfer window a little bit more competitive, giving MLS more access, of course. But that, of course, means that you're competing with the rest of the world for players, which means that what the Galaxy do here in terms of signing a player is going to be monumental, because if they get it wrong, then if they decide to bring in that player that replaces Riqui to a multi-year contract and they get it wrong, then they're locked into a bad player for a couple of years. If they get it wrong by deciding to try to just get a bridge player to get us to Riqui, then they're also screwed. So they're kind of hemmed in by the situation as well. Guys, I really don't see an easy decision here. And is there a perfect world here, Peyton? Is there like in a perfect world, this is what you could see happening?
Yeah, I think once again, I think ideally you just move past for this season, because like people's jobs are on the line now. Like they're not, 2025 you could write off as a grace year, and even that got close to getting people fired with how bad that was at a point. People are playing for their jobs. Players, coaches, everybody is playing for their job now. You can't have 2025 all over again. And I'm sure Will Kuntz sits every night and thinks about what he would have done differently in 2025. But hindsight's 2020. I've also seen people have the take of, why didn't we place Riqui Puig on season-ending injury last season? Thing is, I don't think the Galaxy expected it would take this long for Riqui Puig and for Riqui Puig to come back. I don't think that they thought that was going to happen. So, hindsight's always 2020. If they knew he was going to be out for 2 years, then they would have put him on season-ending injury for 2 years. But that's not how they thought it was going to play out. So I think ideally you bring in a number 10, but they're going to have to scout. And hey, we got CONCACAF soon. They want to make a deep run in that tournament. I'm not sure you can rely on Marco Reus. I really can't. I've seen people, and I'll put this question out to you guys. Is there any world where we go sign a DP9? I don't think it'd be the right decision, but maybe that's something the Galaxy do. I know, people always say maybe Level could come here, but what do you guys think of that?
Well, I was going to jump on that too, because I think we're at the point now where we have to be, we in terms of like the Galaxy organization, I'm talking about specifically, like I think they now have to look for market opportunities and be flexible. I think, Rob, you made a really good point, even via text, and I think you probably mentioned it last night, which is the Galaxy are now operating in a world where teams know that we're desperate. Like we're desperate to replace Riqui. And so what does that do? That decreases our leverage and our negotiating power. And so now we're in a tough position. So I think the Galaxy's transfer strategy, they have to be flexible. And I think about, just because this is fresh in my mind because I just watched the game a couple of days ago, but you think about a guy like Cucha Hernandez, he's not a typical number 10, he's a number 9, but to me, he's the type of player I'll label it as heliocentric. The whole Columbus team revolved around him. I mean, he was the main man for that team. And, you know, he plays number 9 in a different way. Like, is there a player out there like that is a DP number 9, but that is more heliocentric, like Riqui is? Like, Riqui is the heartbeat of the team, just played in a different way. And by the way, Cucho Hernandez, man, for Betis is absolutely killing it. He's still bags and bags of talent, that guy. Even my cousin's wife was like, dude, like, this guy is super good. I was like, yep, MLS product, man, MLS product. So, but that's the thing. It's like, can we be flexible? I think we are now at that point where whatever that market opportunity is, and that's more a nuanced conversation that I'm sure Will Kuntz and his scouting team and Ravi and the data analytics team, I'm sure they are. I heard on Cuna Galaxy the other day that they're, you know, even on Christmas Eve, those guys are still working. I'm sure they're on the phones and working. There's no vacation for them. Like, literally, they're working around the clock, I'm sure, for this one. But I think as fans, I think we need to be flexible. Well, it'll be interesting to see what that next move is going to be.
And Anna, you said an operative word right there, flexible. This player is going to need to be flexible too, because as we already know, Riqui Puig is going to be on this roster in 2027, and whoever this player is that comes in is going to be expected to, in 2026, basically carry the offensive load or the offensive spark, or be the leader on this team. Basically, be judged by the fact that they're replacing Riqui, quote unquote. And then in 2027 is going to be asked to play alongside them, most likely, and then kind of be okay with it being Ricky's team again if you go that route, right? So, I mean, it's going to be a special type of player that gets brought in if you go that one route. Of course, if you decide, like, you know, we're gonna go get the best player that we can, you know, no shade again, but Riqui be damned, like, we got to do what's best for us right now, you know, and then we'll figure it out later. Then yeah, but if you, again, that's where the whole crux of the issue lies. Like, which way are you going to go? I think all of us here are pretty much set in the fact that we would go one way, but we're not Will Kuntz, and we're not at the you know, the helm of this club, or team rather. But Peyton, you posed an interesting question. You know, does it have to be a number 10? Could it be a 9? Do you see a world, perhaps, Eddie, in which, you know, the Galaxy sign a 9?
Yeah, it's actually a thought I had also that we didn't mention yesterday, right? The thought of not signing anybody. I wonder how safe their jobs are, right? They're like, you mentioned the change of the calendar and what that's going to do for the transfer windows. Like, do we just sit on this and, you know, cut our losses and wait for what's right, you know, the right opportunity? Because if we just get desperate and go in and fill that 10, whether a Band-Aid or not, or to sell jerseys, is how we end up with a Douglas Costa. Do you guys remember the Douglas Costa situation? I can't remember. Doug, it was Pavon, right? The Pavon situation happened. So they scrambled and we ended up with Doug. So I could see if it's a perfect fit that we do sign a number 9, because I think that's also on our list. And we also don't know what's said behind closed doors. My gut is telling me that post World Cup, there'll be a 4th DP. It only makes sense. Like, you had to take the next step. The country's going to have a World Cup. It's going to expand the game. You're going to get more eyes. So I just have a feeling, and I feel that the GMs know already too. So with all that, I do see it. I do see a number 9. That's got to be the right guy. I don't think Lewandowski would be, just because, I mean, how many years has he got left in him? I'm a fan. I'd love to see him in a Galaxy kit, but at the same time, you know, Father Time's undefeated.
It is. Speaking of Father Time, MLS rosters are constructed in such a way that you have teams either going the 3DP model or the 2DP model and the 4 U22s, right? Right now, the Galaxy have the 3DP model. However, with Riqui Puig out and being on the season-ending injury list, they could actually pivot to a 2DP model with the U22s. In which case, is there a world in which case they could bring in a U22 striker and a U22 cam? Edgar, do the Galaxy even have the resources for that? Do you see a world in which they can pull that off?
Well, we got AEG, running things and has some of the deepest pockets in sports. I remember on this group chat that I'm in with other MLS podcasters, we were discussing the salary cap, right, and how important it is for the league to address that at some point. And the Miami guys were, they had just won the cup, and they're like, yeah, we're getting all these guys, and everybody's just like, man, that's kind of sus how you guys are getting stronger when usually other teams, take hits. And then somebody brought up that, maybe the league shouldn't have a salary cap. And I was like, if that was the case, AEG would blow everybody out of the water because it has the deepest pockets, in North America as far as sports is concerned. I was like, Galaxy would build a juggernaut of a team. Having said that, I think AEG wouldn't have any issues going out. I mean, this is an unprecedented situation for this organization. So for them to go up to Uncle Phil and be like, hey, you know what? Our guy, he's going to be out for the entire year. We already said that we're going to stash him away. We're in this very interesting predicament. We have to do something not only to maintain relevancy in this league, which has become Miami centric, but also to remain competitive. And this is an opportunity for us to not only bring some more eyes to the club, but rebuild at a youth level and get some of that youth injection in there. Now, something that has been mentioned a couple of times is making the wrong decision, right? Eddie mentioned Douglas Costa, and one of my worries is that the Galaxy will make a knee-jerk reaction and just sign whoever. Like we mentioned Casemiro, right? That's the name that was whispered. Now he wasn't exactly at the top of my list either, right? But I'm like, yeah, we really don't need somebody like that. And it seems like that name was out there, so people embrace it because it's silly season and you need to generate some kind of attention. You need to generate clicks, right? So Casemiro. But no, don't make a knee-jerk reaction. But on the flip side of that, remember 2 years ago, the Galaxy introduced 2 players to the team at the start of the year, and Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsil, and they went on to obviously, galvanize the team into becoming an MLS Cup champion. So this is an opportunity for them to see what they can do with those options that are available to them, but they can't just go for like the shiny thing. They have to be very intelligent about it because these are some of the decisions that are gonna reverberate for the next couple of years, especially with Riqui Puig out and the guarantee that there's no guarantees going to be back the way he used to be. So we might see us like, yeah, it's just horrible and crushing, but it's also an opportunity to pivot into a whole different realm of existence where Galaxy can still remain competitive, maybe even challenge for another cup.
This is one of those situations and that at face value looks terrible and the news is terrible, but it's also an opportunity to fix the ills of this team, and I'll explain. There was a lot of criticism last year about how with Riqui out, the team was basically the worst team in Galaxy history, and how just one player, I think Anand used the word heliocentric. Yes, Riqui was that heliocentric player for this team, how just one player made the team fall so poorly. I think this is an opportunity to fix that. So whether they address it by bringing in a player that is more adaptable, whether that's a system in which they use the cap space to kind of pad the middle of the roster to bring in more depth players, which I brought up yesterday with the NAG boys. That's also something that hasn't been explored. So I mean, there's this thinking that, you know, if you do this knee-jerk reaction, you know, you could get it wrong, and you could get it wrong for the foreseeable future. That's a very, very big worry. So I mean, you have these boys that were working, I think, which of you guys said it, that were on Kuntz's staff working on Christmas Eve?
Yeah. I mean, they said on Cuna Galaxy. So Josh and Kevin were talking about it.
Fucking Scrooge.
I mean, but that's exactly what should be happening right now. I mean, this is like one of the most pivotal moments in Galaxy history. You know, if they get this one wrong, I mean, the next 3 or 4 years could be affected. So,
yeah, Rob, I was going to say, I'm going to pull up this comment too, because E Super One says, my thing, please just don't write off 2026. I know we're talking about doom and gloom and like all these doomsday scenarios right now, but let me just turn this conversation slightly towards the positive. I think
I like that. Do that.
I think Will Kuntz and Greg Vanney and everyone in the team, and I'm sure when we talk to Vanney, Rob, in the beginning of the season, I'm sure he's going to hit on this point, which is, let's not forget that after that 16-game winless streak, the Galaxy finished the season 7-6-5. And so that would have put us towards, I think, like a 49-point pace or something like that, which would have put the Galaxy in sort of that 4th or 5th position if you extrapolated that out towards a whole season. So I think what eSuper One is saying is also right, which is, I don't think we should write off 2026 totally, in that the floor without Riqui Puig in the last half of the season was like a 40-something point pace, right? Sort of middle in the Western Conference. And now you're bringing more defensive reinforcements or more defensive solidity and stability,
which we haven't touched on tonight,
in the form of Jakob Glesnes and Justin Hack. And so now if you become if you turn if you turn a 66 defense or 66 goal conceded defense into maybe a 45 or 50 goal conceded defense, now maybe that raises the floor even more, right? So I think I do want to call that out, because I think this is doom and gloom right now, and we're extrapolating all these different scenarios, but I think we're right. I think eSuper One's right. I think we shouldn't write off 2026. I think we shouldn't write off Will Kuntz. I mean, I didn't expect to get Christmas presents in the form of Justin Hack and Jakob Glesnes. So I think luckily the front office part in the last couple seasons has been set. And I think we need to, trust in Will Kuntz and see. The proof is going to be I think the proof is going to be in the pudding, and the jury's still going to be out. But I think, we need to give him time to let him do his work. Because like I said, I wasn't expecting Jakob Glesnes and Justin Hack to fall on our doorstep either.
I have faith. And kind of in regard to eSuper One that says, please don't write off 2026. Along those lines, let's kind of wrap this one up here, boys, today by looking into with the kitty cat. Yes, Eddie. Yes, the wise man with the kitty cat. Let's wrap this one up today by predicting the future on where the Galaxy might end up at the end of 2026. And yes, we will pull receipts on you guys in a year. So let's go ahead and start with the Catman.
Oh, Catman, that's me. I was arguing with Mike Gray here on the chat, right? He doesn't know anything about soccer, so yeah.
What up, these?
You're saying we're screwed. I know he was just playing, but no, I think the way we ended the season last year, I think the moves we made this season are great moves. And one thing, if you watched our pod, and I'm sure you guys brought it up a lot too, is the goals were coming down the middle every time, down the middle. So I think with these signings, that won't happen as much. And I can't predict the future, but also I think Mikovic is fine. He's fine. So I think you're going to see a better season. So I think we're going to be fine with him. And I have a bold prediction that you're going to see a whole different scenario. Scenario is going to have a full off season. That kid is fearless. Like when I took the eye test and I watched him, like that guy goes in, right? There was a couple plays where he kind of went in clumsily. I don't know if you remember. I think one was in the Campeones Cup or whatever it's called, the Leagues Cup. So that kid is fearless, right? And I hope he adjusts and he gets used to Cerrillo. He now has a whole off season here, and we're gonna end up We're gonna be in playoff position, not wild card, but in the playoffs. I think I said yesterday was 6 and 7, somewhere around there.
Where would you go ahead and say the Galaxy are ending up better?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere between 4th and 6th in the West. Obviously, a lot of that depends on who they bring in to fill the gap, that huge vacuum left by Riqui Puig. But I think that the way that the team is being restructured right now, retooled, especially defensively, we're not going to see a repeat of last year, which is absolute nightmare. But so I think everybody who's worried about whether or not the club's going to be relevant, Galaxy took steps to be much better than they were last year, while some other teams that finished ahead of us either made very questionable decisions about managers or some of the players that they brought in. So just seeing that right there gives me some confidence that Galaxy would do much better than them and be in a position to finish in a desirable playoff spot. So that's something to look forward to. So I would say Galaxy. I'd be happy just making it to the playoffs, but getting past the first round would be great. But I don't see the Galaxy going further than that. Now that's so far down the line, right? Because the MLS season is such a marathon. But if you're asking me now, that's what I say.
What about you, Peyton? There's a comment by the homie Joe 13 Cool that says, with this roster, without any more new players, we still don't make the playoffs. Do you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, your sentiments?
Yeah. No, I don't think we make the playoffs if we don't sign anyone else, but I think it's almost a guarantee that we sign somebody else. Not that we're in a great cap situation, but the designated player spot's opening up. We touched on it a bit earlier. The idea that maybe we would go with 2 DPs and 4 U22s is something that maybe I would do, because if I'm the Galaxy, I want a TAM number 8. I want to open up that salary cap a bit more and allow you to be more flexible by adding more players into the midfield. So I'd probably go down that route, but we're the Galaxy. We swing big. This could be anywhere. This could honestly be anywhere in the table, but I'm going to trust that the signings we've made, we're going to continue making logical signings, and I'm going to say 5th place. I think the West is wide open. I could only name 2 teams that maybe will be top 4 guaranteed, or 3. Probably Seattle, Vancouver, and probably LAFC. I think we'll block out that top 3 again. I'm gonna have the Galaxy at 5. I think they'll build out decent and kind of follow a similar pace towards the end of last season. I think that's the team that you're gonna get more than the team at the start of the season, or so we hope.
That is always the hope. Ananda, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it this way too. I think Edgar brings up a good point in terms of who are the teams that we need to leapfrog, right? So I'm just looking at the standings at the end of last year, and I think Edgar's right. Like a lot of those teams that, especially the non-playoff teams, I think we leapfrog them, because whether it's questionable decisions or roster decisions, I mean, San Jose is getting gutted, right? A team like that. Colorado is in a very unstable situation. So I look at okay, what tier, what are the tiers right now in the Western Conference? I mean, clearly there's probably a clear 1-2, Vancouver, LAFC. You might want to stick in San Diego in there as the top tier. And then you move down to teams like Minnesota, Seattle, and Austin. And so maybe the Galaxy are probably thereabouts in the 2nd tier, or maybe moving into the 3rd tier if you're looking at a team like Portland, for example. At least as of right now, without any signings, we're probably in that 3rd tier. But I would imagine that the roster is going to shape up to where we're going to get in that 2nd tier, sort of in that 5th, 6th, 7th spot. But again, but the thing is, this is the difference of the conversation, Rob, because when we had this conversation last week with Riqui, we thought we were already in the elite, tier 1 of the Western Conference, competing with LAFC and Vancouver. But now that conversation is no longer there.
Yeah, the entire conversation changes. And just within the span of a week. I mean, we spoke on our emergency pod last time. Again, it was things like, does Justin Hack, along with Ricky's return, make the Galaxy's instant contenders? And now it's, trying to keep everyone positive, basically. Like you said it, Anand. I mean, let's try to make this positive, right? Because the feeling is doom and gloom. I mean, try as you might, it is an almighty hit. It is a huge hit to the sporting side. It's a huge hit to the commercial side. It's a huge hit to the fans, for Greg Vanney as a coach. I mean, who knows if Greg Vanney will even be the coach in 2027 when Riqui Puig comes back. We had a comment on whether Gabriel Peck will even be on the roster. Who on this roster will even be on the roster when Riqui Puig comes back in 2027? Riqui Puig comes back to an entirely different world in Galaxyland. Edgar, you had your finger up.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point that I've mentioned on our show, and that is about the future of Greg Vanney and this team. And at the time, right, with the thinking that Riqui was going to be back for 2026, I had mentioned that I think that whatever free, whatever goodwill, whatever, freedom that Vanney had to make mistakes and still retain his position was going to be out the door, because there's no excuses, right? Because in the past, there was the pandemic, and then, I'm sorry, not the pandemic, the post-pandemic, rebuilding of the club, and then there was all the issues with the fan protest, and then just a bunch of different issues, right? And every time it's like, oh, this is going on, and so this is why the club isn't doing well, or this has happened this year, because of this and this and this. And then last year was an aberration, obviously. So, and I was like, in 2026, this is it. This is the test, right? And if the team doesn't do well, if the team doesn't begin the season well, I don't see him making it past the summer. But all of a sudden, Ricky's gone. How does that affect everything, right? And then all of a sudden, if the team doesn't do well, can they point to it and be like, oh, that's the reason why the team isn't doing well? So should we give Vanney another shot? Right? It's like, what do you guys think? Because this brings up a really interesting situation, whether or not he'll be around. If the team gets off to a really bad start, right, and they obviously missed Riqui, because maybe they expected him, right, and they haven't made a move to improve things, should Vanney still be around by the time the World Cup rolls around? Or do you guys think that, all right, let's give him another shot?
Hey, Eddie's doing the Mutombo finger wag. No over there. So go for it.
No.
Big clubs do big things. Give Wilfred Nancy a call. Ask what happened to him.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I've been pondering. Does Greg have the goalpost shifted for him as well as a result of Riqui not being there? I mean, he was going to have a retooled lineup with Riqui back, potentially a new number 9, and now Ricky's not there. I mean, his guy, the guy he plans everything around, isn't there. I mean, it gives him leash again, right? Hey, and you were making some funny faces when we were talking about this. Got something to get off your chest there, man?
Yeah, I think the excuses are done for Greg Vanney. I think all grace that you had in 2025 after winning an MLS Cup, it's over now. I mean, the Galaxy have how many games within the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season? It's ridiculous.
9.
Yeah, like these, that's why I think signing a Riqui Puig replacement is urgent. Because, and I think these guys feel it. We could talk about, maybe what the post-World Cup market's going to look like. Maybe you could grab a guy and get a better offer. You don't want to run into a Costa situation. They might be forced into the spot where their jobs are on the line to make sure that there's immediate success, because they know that, patience is run thin. Because you're going to go to AEG and you're going to ask for more money. You're going to ask for more money for a Riqui Puig replacement, because you're still going to have to pay Riqui Puig every single dime. You're not getting out of paying that.
Right.
You're going to have to pay another guy on top of that. And, AEG, deep pockets, sure. That is going to come back And, if you're not putting success on the field immediately, I think patience is run out with Greg Vanney. I think he's a great coach, which is why I think it won't be an issue. But it's certainly within the realm of possibilities is that we see Greg Vanney get sacked. And yeah, Wilfred Nancy, hey, you could hit our line if that ends up happening,
Well, I was going to say too, guys,
on my cell phone.
I was going to say
real
too, guys,
quick,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Edgar.
to piggyback off what Peyton said, that you mentioned right earlier, Peyton, that Vanney relies on a 10, right? So much, an elite 10. If Vanney's gone, right? Let's say that the team sacks him. There will be no sense of urgency to rebuild the team around Riqui, right? And then they can start to maybe transition out of that, make that transition a little easier, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you don't have your tactician that demands that all action number 10, then yeah, I mean, you can start planning a little bit easier, knowing that a new coach won't need that. Ananda, you had something to add on this?
Well, no, actually, I brought up the super chat, Rob. So shout out XPH, because this kind of leads into a point that I was going to make. But XPH says, "Happy New Year, everyone! Happy New Year to you, my good sir. No more excuses for Vanney, and same goes for Kuntz." And I agree with both, not just Vanney, right? And so my point was going to be leading into that was, I don't think, to Peyton's point about the urgency and Vanney having no more excuses, I think Will Kuntz will get this roster to a point where there will be no excuses, because let's face it, his job is on the line too, right? So I think he wants to be in a position where, okay, I don't want any of the blame to go more on me like it was in 2025, because we didn't adequately bolster the roster due to salary cap reasons, whatever. I want to shift that pressure over to the sporting team. Like, I want to give Greg and this coaching staff all the tools that they need to be successful, to be a legit contender in the West, and go from there. Like he doesn't want any of that heat either. So I think going to the urgency point, I think the roster will be ready. What form that takes, I don't know, but I think he will get that roster ready by the time we start the season. Hopefully, at least that's the hope.
Yeah, if there's somebody that I, would want in front of this Galaxy team, putting together this team in light of what's happened with Riqui, it would be Will Kuntz. I mean, it's no secret that I have a great respect for the man and what he's been able to do with the Galaxy thus far. Last year wasn't the greatest year for him, but I have faith that he's gonna be able to turn it around. Guys, let's get on out of here. But before we do, please go ahead and share with us where we can find you on the socials and where we can stalk you on the socials, like Ananda says. Peyton, where can we find your OnlyFans?
I am LAGalaxy_Buzz on Instagram, or Talking Galaxy. We have season 2 coming out tomorrow. We got our first episode. We're another Galaxy podcast in the many Galaxy podcast universe. Thank you guys for having me on again. And oh, by the way, I saw someone ask earlier, this is a Spain jersey. So thanks for having me on again. And look forward to hopefully having you guys on Talking Galaxy this season.
All day. You know where to find us, Papa. Eddie, Street Fighter, Catman, Tanga Boy Extraordinaire. What's up, man? Where we can find you? Oh, you were on mute, I think.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Brian, stop hitting the buttons, Brian.
I was doing my Rob impression. Anyways, I'll use my time as always to shout out all the independent Galaxy creators. Make sure to follow them at LAGalaxyBuzz. Of course, Cuna Galaxiana, if you're not following them yet, and all this new podcast that I can't keep up with these kids now, 6, 7, whatever. So make sure to show them some love. Not Corner of the Galaxy, they have enough followers. No, I'm just kidding. And then shout out to you guys. Shout out to you, Peyton, for helping this Galaxy family grow. Because I always like to circle back how us older gents here, we used to have to stay up past like 11:30 to watch the news and watch 2 minutes, hopefully 2 minutes of any LA Galaxy highlights and news. So It's great to have access to so much Galaxy content now. So keep it up.
Thank you.
Edgar, what up, man?
Thank you so much for having me on again. I really appreciate seeing you guys. I love La Cuna. Just want to shed a little bit of light on how the rest of the league saw the whole thing with Riqui. Yeah, the noisy neighbors, might be probably like, celebrating right now, but at least one of the LSD podcasters reached out and was like, man, that blows. Knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen over here. But the overall reaction from our friends that are podcasters from the league was either shock or just dismay because they all admire Riqui Puig. They think he's really good for the league. They loved seeing how the LA Galaxy team was so dynamic and fun to watch, and not having him there, it's going to hurt our team, obviously. But on a more personal level, they're like, man, we're really sorry, Edgar, that that you guys went through such a rough year, but and you're going to be missing Riqui. But then, like, one of the Red Bull fans was like, blah blah, Edgar crying about missing his player when they guys have 6 MLS Cups, and he's like, I'm just kidding, I'm sorry that happened to you guys. So, but anyway, you guys can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram is Edgar Nags. Thank you so much for having me on, Rob. I love you guys.
All day, man. Anandita, let us know where we can find y'all, man.
I said at the top of the show, you guys can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Cuna Galaxiana. You know where to find Rob and his articles at the Sporting Tribune. I just want to say again, Happy New Year's to everyone. Wish we could have started the new year in a better way, but unfortunately, we have to face the music sometimes and talk about what's going on, right? And of course, shout out to every one of you guys in chat. And speaking of which, another super chat from our homie GCam.
6-7. Gracias, bye-bye.
And hashtag believe. And I'm just going to leave it there, guys. Hopefully for all you Galaxy fans out there, I know it's tough. I mean, especially for everyone that is not going through the turnstiles and, attendance next year, Rob, that's a whole separate podcast for another day. It's going to be really interesting.
Damn, is it ever?
Yeah, I heard Kevin Baxter say yesterday or the other day that its attendance was down 17% last year. But as GCam said, believe, hashtag, I hope that in the next couple of weeks we'll see some movement. We're probably going to see everyone and their mother linked to this team, Rob. I mean, we talked about it the other day. If you want to play number 9, they can pay you a year's supply of pupusas. And
yeah, man, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in chat. Thank you to you guys, Edgar, Eddie, Peyton. Hopefully this was a fun conversation. Hopefully it was good therapy for you guys as well, talking through the pain, right? Another super chat here, Rob, really quick. Blessing Paintsill, let's go, G's. Let's go. And
let's go,
Rob,
G's indeed.
You want to take it on? You want to take us all out of here?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to our special guests once again for being here with us. I mean, Ananda, you and I, we've already said goodbye to this season, season 3 a couple times, and just things keep bringing us back. But we promise season 4 will hopefully be as eventful as season 3, but with the caveat that things will be much more hopeful. So stick around with us for season 4. Thank you to everybody that was in chat tonight. Thank you if it was your first time listening to this podcast. Thank you if you are a regular listener. Again, you're the reason that we're here. We have another super chat from the homie GCam. All day. Guys, I've said it. It's a pivotal moment in Galaxy history, but as Ananda called out, hashtag believe. I go into every season with the mindset that the Galaxy are going to send me home every match day and to have me write the most glowing articles about the most pretty soccer ever to be played in MLS. That hasn't really happened recently, but we can't give up on that belief that it could happen. And it starts really with you, the fans. Players have talked about it last year, how yes, it did affect them when that attendance went down, when the fans were in the stands not cheering, and we understand that there's reasons to not do so. But this year we hope that there is kind of a new day here for the Galaxy. I mean, if this is indeed a world in which the Galaxy are going to have to start planning for a new world, then let it be a new world as well in the stands. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast, and before we get on out of here, one thing left to say, and that's Jesus.